Coming up on McKnight Tonight, new developments in that anti-Semitic vile video, from the excuses to family anger, but why has it taken New South Wales Police so long to do anything? Big changes for people using the NDIS, but we're still treating people with disabilities as second-class citizens when it comes to sex, and something needs to change. We'll get the latest twist in the case of convicted serial killer Lucy Letby and the viral TikTok video that really speaks to me as a parent.
And that's not where dishes go.
McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight.
Wrong again.
McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight.
I've seen that since university.
Fun, insightful interviews from a watchdog to some McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Hello, welcome to McKnight Tonight. I'm Rob McKnight and our home internet video show. No big corporations here. This is from we call it the McKnight Tonight studios, but it's really my garage. I even made the set myself. Thank you for joining us for week 2 of this 10-week experiment as we talk hot button issues. We give you my opinions on things, but I also want your opinions on the topics we're talking about. Your feedback plays such an important role. So leave a comment in the comment section of this video so that we can grab it and put it in throughout the course of the show. We'll bring your comments up and react to what you're saying, but make it clear what you're reacting to. So that's the key, because sometimes we see a comment and we go, oh, which topic is that about? So make sure you're clear about what topic you're referring to. Meantime, have some fun, but we'll also get a little bit serious, like this first topic we're about to start with.
Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Lock them up, deport them, do whatever it takes to remove them from our society. That's my message to our leaders after that shocking video of the 2 nurses at Bankstown Hospital in New South Wales who said they had killed Jewish patients. You know the video I'm talking about.
Listen to me.
Peace.
Listen to me.
And
when
you
your-
spread
when your
death.
time comes.
How
when
are
your
you
time
doctors?
comes,
Wait.
I want you to remember my face.
Okay,
so
okay.
You can understand
Gotcha.
That you will
I have
die
a question
the most
though.
disgusting death.
All right, for sure. I have a question though.
Yeah, what's it?
I have a question. Let's say an Israeli. God
I won't
forbid.
treat them. I won't treat them. I'll kill them.
You'll kill them? So if an Israeli is in Australia and God forbid something happened to him and he comes
Not
to your
God forbid,
hospital,
I hope to God.
would you kill him?
You have no idea how many Israeli Khara dog came to this hospital and I sent him to Jahannam. I
For
literally
real?
sent him to Jahannam.
Jahannam means hell. It's disturbing stuff, and as you would imagine, it has made headlines around the world. Funnily enough, though, for all their arrogance in the video, these 2 seem a bit camera shy now. Ahmed Nadir couldn't get away from Channel 7's cameras fast enough.
A cowardly attempt to cover a face which has now been seen worldwide.
Can I just ask you about your comments?
No comments, please.
Are you anti-Semitic? Did you kill patients at Bankstown? Why did you make those threats?
And Sarah Lebda's family showed their true colours when dealing with the media.
Get the off my property!
I'm on public property.
Right now!
What?
Why are you get the off
I'm
my
on public property. Do you have
now.
what do you have to say about the allegation that Sarah?
Move.
Excuse me, Sarah.
Move.
What are the right? What do you guys have to say about? Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! I'm on public land.
That's fine.
Mate, what do you have to say about what Sarah said? Why not?
Because no one is welcome to my house.
Why is she threatening to kill
She's not threatening
Israeli
anybody.
people?
She's not threatening
She's
anybody.
admitted to killing Israeli people, man.
Was I on the phone?
Don't stop walking towards the. Hey, don't, mate.
Listen to me, brother.
All right, okay. I need my phone back.
Obviously, he didn't realise he was being recorded on the chest in a camera there. But now the excuses are being rolled out. A sheepish Mr. Nadir told the Telegraph his actions were just a joke and claimed that he planned to apologise to the Jewish community. The entirety of what happened is just a joke, okay? It was a misunderstanding, Mr. Nadir said. A joke? You have got to be kidding me. And then there's this. Sarah Lebda's brother, Mohammed, says she was baited into making the sickening remarks. That video was a setup. You can see that it's edited. You can see the jump cuts. Sarah said those things, but she was pushed. She was baited. Seriously? I don't care how much you've been baited, which is just pure BS in my opinion, but no amount of baiting would lead you to say this.
Let's say an Israeli, God
I won't treat
forbid.
them. I won't treat them. I'll kill them.
I won't treat them. I'll just kill them. And there's the other issue that the entire unedited video has now been released. And I'm going to play the full 2.5 video so you can judge for yourself.
You know what? Oh, shit.
How are you, man?
Good, how are you, my man?
Pretty good. Are you a nurse, a doctor?
I'm a doctor, my man.
A doctor for what?
In hospital. What about you? Where you from?
I'm from Israel, from the Holy Land.
Right. You know what? I'm gonna be really honest with you.
All right.
I'm gonna be really honest with you. You actually got a really, really beautiful eyes.
Thank you,
But
man.
I'm so upset that you're Israeli. Like, eventually you're gonna get killed and you're gonna go to Jahannam, inshallah.
You
but
think?
like these pretty eyes, they should stay in this world for longer.
Why do you
Like,
think?
I
Why
swear-
do you think I'm gonna get killed?
Because inshallah one day God will. and
Maybe because I
you're gonna-
served in the IDF. That's why.
That's definitely the answer. Correct.
That's the
Yes.
reason, because I served in the IDF. What's the problem with that? What's the issue with that?
You killed innocent people. That's why.
Killed? I
you
was
guys are-
protecting my country.
So you kill innocent people to protect your country. What kind of soul do you have? You have no soul.
In a war, people die, as you know.
No.
They started
No,
the
that's
war.
Not 1200.
Who
against
started?
57.
It's okay. Your time will come.
Who
and
started?
I
Who
hope to
started
God-
this war?
I hope you guys.
Who
didn't
elected
do the
Hamas?
shit.
Who elected
This
Hamas?
it's Palestine's country, not your
Hello.
country. You piece
How
of
are you?
shit.
What's your name?
No, none of your
We're
business what my
talking
name is.
politely
Listen to me.
here. We're talking politely
day,
here.
One day,
One day.
your time will come and you will die the most horrible
You
death.
sprayed
And you
hate.
remember
We
me.
sprayed
And I
positivity.
pray,
We spread
and I
protection.
want
We
you-
spread
Listen to me.
peace.
Listen to me.
And
when
you
your-
spread
when your
death.
time comes.
How
when
are
your
you
time
doctors?
comes,
Wait.
I want you to remember my face.
Okay,
so
okay.
You can understand
Gotcha.
That you will
I have
die
a question
the most
though.
disgusting death.
All right, for sure. I have a question though.
Yeah, what's your...
I have a question. Let's say an Israeli.
I
God
won't treat
forbid.
them. I won't treat them. I'll kill them.
You'll kill them? So if an Israeli is in Australia and God forbid something happened to him and he comes
Not
to your
God forbid.
hospital,
I hope to God.
would you kill him?
Okay, you have no idea how many Israeli Khara dog came to this hospital and I sent it to Jahannam. I
For
literally
real?
sent it to Jahannam.
For real? So if just Jewish people comes there?
Gee, it didn't take much to bait her, did it? And look, I know a bit's been made about the IDF part. What we need to understand is all Jewish citizens have to join the IDF when they turn 18. It's mandatory. And so, of course, he took part in the IDF. But is that an excuse to say that you're killing Jewish people and you won't treat them? And look, I know the male in that video has now been hospitalised over mental health concerns. Well, I tell you, he better hope he doesn't have a Jewish person looking after him, hey? But of course, I wouldn't expect any other nurse to let their personal political beliefs get in the way of administering care. So, he'll be fine. The thing that gets me the most out of all this, though, is that the police were negotiating with these vile human beings re a formal interview. I'm not kidding. This is the quote from Thursday's Daily Telegraph online edition. Detectives are believed to be in negotiation with the nurses' lawyers to have them attend a police station for formal questioning. Why the hell is there a negotiation? Go in there, kick the door down and drag them to the cop shop. Even if they are just talking a big game, which I do believe. They didn't kill anyone. They're talking a big games. But their words are a hate crime. And now there has to be an investigation into every person they've ever cared for. Now, we finally saw action take place on Friday night when a raid was carried out at Nadir's home while he was seeking treatment. And as I say, I don't think they've actually killed anyone. But how do we know that they've done everything in their power to save a Jewish life or even make them more comfortable? I mean, I'm talking little things like getting someone a cup of tea, making them wait to have their bedpan changed? How do we know that they've offered the full care to anyone who's Jewish that they could have? It's scary to think that the trust they have possibly broken for anyone in their care. Investigating this will probably cost millions of dollars because every case should be investigated. And can somebody help me with this? When did anti-Semitism become okay in this country? We are seeing it everywhere. We see graffiti on cars and at church. It doesn't seem that long ago that a career would be destroyed if they were anti-Semitic. Now it seems to be a badge of honour. In light of these disturbing developments, federal opposition leader Peter Dutton has now flagged the need to get tougher on granting citizenship, drawing a fresh link between rising anti-Semitism to a migration system that is not adequately screening people for their commitment to Australian values. And I think that's a fair point. This is Australia. These things are happening overseas and we can take political interest in them. But these wars should not be brought to our shores. And the idea that nurses, people who are paid to care, who I always assumed with nurses, you weren't really doing it for the money. Yeah, of course, we all want money, but nurses are underpaid. I always assumed they did it for the love and taking care of people and doing it. These two vile creatures are not those kind of people. And I know nurses. And what I just described is the kind of people I know. These people have been deregistered and they should never work in the nursing sector again. Good. And I reckon they might find it a bit hard to get a job. Good. And if there is a way we can deport them, make it so. I know people say stupid things. I get it. But these were nurses on call, at work, on a chat video program, talking the wildest crap. Vile, vile crap. To be honest, they have no place in the health system and they have no place in Australia. Okay, it's time for Rob's rant, and this week we're talking protesters. Yep, another week, another bloody video of a protesting sovereign citizen refusing to cooperate with police.
And what was your last name, Rachel?
I don't have one.
You don't have a last name?
No, because I'm no longer participating in your fraud. I was born on this land, I wasn't birthed on this land, and I'm not under a birth certificate. Please don't go close. It's restricted area, no authorisation.
Do you live locally?
No, I'm on God's dry land. I travel wherever I want to, I'm a gypsy.
You understand these roads are built.
It's not understand, I don't stand under any man, I stand under my God, and he's Yahuwah. And he is going to mess with all of you. He's going to drop you to your nose. Sorry? I don't care. You didn't have permission to build these roads on him.
But you freely...
Have you asked the Queen of Australia that you have permission to be on this country? Have you asked the Queen of Australia, have you got permission to be here? Third time, because you haven't answered me, have you got permission from the Queen of Australia? No, you don't. Because guess why? Because I know. Because you being rude and you haven't answered it. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because I'm free to travel and there's many acts. There's many court cases. It is. No, I'm not. There's ecclesiastic and I'm not bound by legislation under the Queen's...
I know you don't like it.
No, I'm not.
I know you don't like it, but that's the way it is, unfortunately.
No, it's not.
Because you put other people's...
This one happened in Casula, near Liverpool, that's southwest of Sydney. Now, the video goes on for 18 minutes where she refuses to answer questions and refuses to accept the authority of the police. But this was the ironic part that got me when she talked about the police not being able to record her image.
And you don't have permission to record me, record my voice or record my image. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because I have a copyright on my image, on this, and on this.
Oh, the irony. She's allowed to film the police officer, but he's not allowed to film her. Right. And when this sovereign citizen faced court, this time there was a twist, with Magistrate Claire Farnan ordering the woman to undergo a mental health assessment. About bloody time these idiots were held to account. We live in a society, they live in our society, make use of our roads and services, but then pull out this sovereign citizen BS to try and get out of trouble. And they totally disrespect the officers who, let's face it, if they needed help, if they were in trouble, if someone was attacking them, they'd want help from the police. But of course, then we have the idiots who love throwing paint on work of art, just like this one recently at the Louvre.
Qu'est-ce qui est important? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a de plus important?
Ooh la la, piss right off. Look, we live in a democracy and people have the right to protest, but I'm over it. And now there are changes being introduced on what can and can't be taken inside, all because of these selfish people. I'm over these protesters who think they have the right to spoil things for other people, whether it be trying to see a work of art, watching a live performance, or just trying to get to work. And as for these protesters who superglue their hands to roads, why do the police bother removing them? Let them stay there all day and night. They've already caused enough traffic chaos, so let's see what they do when no one helps them remove their hands. Police should just surround them and just stop anyone else from being able to release them. Let's see how many of them do it after that. And do these protesters actually think getting people on side with their causes by doing this? Do they think they're getting people on side? I can tell you it doesn't work on me. It just makes it annoying and makes me turn off to any messaging they're trying to get out. There are plenty of ways to protest, but selfish actions achieve nothing. All right, there is feedback coming through to McKnight Tonight. So let's take a look at some of the feedback coming through, and we'll take that feedback now. Jan Murphy says, good evening, Rob and everyone. Thank you, Jan. Good to see your smiling face, and what a beautiful picture of the beach. We'll go over the page and see who else we've got there as Miss Amanda hits the button. You just got to send it through, Amanda. We're streaming live and she's got button troubles. There we go. Jason says, topic 2, Courtney Act is giving people permission to move around this country. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Jason. What else have we got there, Amanda? Jason again, topic 1, please take responsibility for the energy you bring to this space. Words have meaning and people have to own the weight of their words, or so-called free speech. Yeah, I couldn't agree with that one more, Jason. Thank you very much for that. Let's see who else is putting comments on the McKnight Tonight page. Dylan says, wow, what a video. Yeah, that full 2-minute video, it really does speak volumes in my mind. So it was interesting to see that, Dylan. It gives a lot of context. What else have we got? Jan again, what disgusting people, and also doing it from the hospital. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Jan. Those people are disgusting, and I really want the full force of the law coming to them. Jason says, people I work with believe those nurses should be deported, not just sacked. Anti-Semitic nurses, topic 1. Yes, thank you, Jason. And it's also interesting that there was a bit on 7 News, on the 7 News website today and on 7 News Tonight, that he actually, what was it? He had, there's a twist in the investigation of the New South Wales nurse who went on an anti-Israeli rant as a morphine vial was allegedly found in his locker. And the story says that the male nurse actually asked someone to clean their locker. They didn't feel comfortable doing that. They called the police, and 7 News is reporting a morphine vial was allegedly found in his locker. There will be more on that one in the coming days, that's for sure. And keep your feedback coming in. We love reading it. We'll put it all up here on the screen. We're going through it all. My family are there going through it all right now, so keep it coming in. Meanwhile, there's been an interesting development regarding the NDIS. The Australian Report's NDIS Minister Amanda Rishworth says there will be no tightening of which disabilities are eligible for the $44 billion scheme. That's despite the government facing a mammoth effort to rein in costs, with Labor instead to launch a new panel to review contestable services and programs participants are using. And I have to say, that's a good thing. I know there's been a cost blowout with the NDIS, but that's because I believe we never fully acknowledge the true scope of disabilities in our society. And shrinking the criteria of what fits into a disability isn't going to solve the issues vulnerable people are facing. Now, look, tabloids might fixate on those rorting the system, but we can't forget the good the NDIS is doing. It's a system that gives those with disabilities a better life and teaches those with disabilities to become less dependent on the system, ultimately saving the taxpayer money. But let me be clear, those defrauding the system need to be caught and dealt with. In the 23 financial year, the NDIS estimates it lost $1.4 billion through fraud and payment errors. Just this week, NDIS fraudster Paul Tilbury, he faced court for spending $400,000 of his client's money. There's obviously fraudsters out there who need to be caught, but don't let those doing the wrong thing stop us from helping those who need it. And look, while we're on the NDIS, why do people get up in arms about the use of sex workers? After the use of sex workers made headlines, then NDIS Minister Bill Shorten announced sex work would be banned from being funded through the scheme. Why though? I just don't understand why people with disabilities shouldn't be allowed to enjoy sex. These people with severe disabilities, they can't go out and pick up someone. So why shouldn't they be able to pay someone? Would these politicians, radio hosts and columnists who complain about it be happy to go without sex for the rest of their lives? I bet Barnaby Joyce wouldn't. Canberra is littered with sex scandals and affairs. The man who made that decision, Bill Shorten, dumped his wife for another woman. And I'm sure it wasn't just because of her personality. No, sexual desire is a base desire of the human race. Yet we would happily stop those with disabilities from experiencing the joy of sex. Quite frankly, it's outrageous, and it treats those less fortunate as second-class citizens. If you believe they shouldn't have access to those services, do this, put your money where your mouth is, and never have sex again. See how you like it.
It's the random life shot of the day. Where are you going today? You'll never know where you'll end up with the random life shot of the day.
Yes, it's time for our random live shot of the day. Today we're going to the Maldives, or Maldives. Maldives, that's how you say it, yes. So that's where we're going. It's located in the heart of the Indian Ocean. The Maldives is a dream destination for many travellers, offering pristine beaches, crystal clear waters, and vibrant marine life. Today it's a cloudy day, as we can see there. But look at the temperature difference. The low is 27 degrees, and the high is a lovely 29. So not much difference between the low and the high. Oh, someone's waving at the camera. Oh, and now it's frozen just as that happened. But he's giving this a thumbs up at least, so that's good. Let's take a quick look at feedback before we move on to our next element. Philip says, you make a great point on the protesters. Don't help them. Let them seek help somewhere else. Yes, Philip, thank you very much. Over the page we go, and we've got Jimmy, saying, read the two nurses, nothing more to say than they are just vile. Glad they are publicly being shamed. Yes, me too, Jimmy. And to be honest, I know one is getting some mental health help at the moment, but actions have consequences. That's just the fact. All right, over the page, Diane says, I caught the show this week, Rob. Yay. Well, Diane, share it on your Facebook page. Let everyone know that it's here and that we're doing this little show, because we need your help to get people aware of it. We're doing it from the McKnight Tonight garage, so let everyone know that it's happening.
Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Well, if you were watching Saturday Night Live a few weeks ago, the one hosted by Timothée Chalamet, you might have seen an animation made right here in Australia. The 3-minute clip showed God and his workers fumbling their way through the creation of Earth. One of the main characters was voiced by Chalamet himself. A Melbourne-based team at Studio Show Off had just 6 days to animate the whole thing to be played out to millions of viewers on SNL. Ivan Dixon and Sean Zwan are behind the team that brought this idea to life and join me now. Welcome to McKnight Tonight, boys.
Thanks so much for having us.
Ivan, animating a high-quality 3-minute video in just 6 days, it seems extraordinary to me. I'm assuming something like this would usually take much longer.
Yeah, for sure. It would normally take months and months to make something like this. You know, there's back and forthing with the team on this design and storyboards. Every little decision is scrutinized. But we just had this massive crunch to deliver it in time for the show that weekend that Chalamet was hosting. Yeah.
Well, they had a week. Sean, tell me about the initial phone call and how the idea was pitched to you.
Yeah, well, we'd been working on it a little bit in the background, and we've been trying to get something going with SNL for a little while. But then we had a phone call where they said, can you guys pump this out in a week? And the reason is we think Chalamet might want to voice it. But obviously the catch is you don't get any sleep all week and you've got to work straight through. So it was a bit of a nerve.
We're not playing the actual animation because of copyright claims on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But Sean, what I loved, it wasn't just one style of animation. There are moments where the style changes dramatically. It was a really well thought out comedy skit.
Yeah, it was great. We had a really good team here, and when we put people on animation teams, we like to cast them a little bit like they're actors. So we pick people for certain shots, and we had an artist, Alex, who was great at rendering up those highly detailed paints, which brought some more life into it.
And you'll notice that shares a really strong resemblance to Sean here. That was just 100% coincidence.
Yeah, it's my red Dutch face. God and I both get that.
Well, isn't that brilliant? You didn't worry about basing it on Chalamet. You just went, we've got the look right here.
So, well, interesting. So we didn't always know he was going to voice it. So there was a different voice for God originally, and a different design, which was all.
Can you tell us who that was?
That was the original, one of the original writers, Streeter Seidel. So he was voicing like a temp version of the character, and then when they realized they had a chance to cast Timothée, they were like, "Yeah, we've got to do this. He's the hottest thing in Hollywood right now."
And we were a bit curious as to whether that voice would work because Timothy's voice is it's a lot more boyish than what the original voice was, sort of rough and like a tech bro. But he did really well. Yeah, when we got the voices back, we were like, "Oh wow, he just absolutely nailed it."
We only got the voice Tuesday afternoon, and we had to do it by Friday. So yeah, and the way the show works is you don't know if they'll actually air it. They may just cut it because for time or another joke, another skit is stronger. So right up to the very last minute, we had no idea.
Yes, there are 4 behind-the-scenes specials on Saturday Night Live at the moment, which really show the process, and it's chaotic, and the cast don't know right up until the last moment what's going to air. But it got to air, thank God, no pun intended. But Ivan, this isn't your first foray into global animation. You mentioned you've been talking to SNL for a while, but you've done a lot of other shows. Tell me about those that you've worked on.
Yeah, we've had the fortune of getting to work on a lot of stuff over the years, and some of that's been for US television. We did an intro to The Simpsons a few years back.
I mean, that had to be one on the bucket list, didn't it?
Oh, that was it. I'm a child of the '90s. Sean and I both grew up watching the show. And,
oh my God, I'm a child of the '70s. Thanks for mentioning that.
Getting to work on The Simpsons, I went over and sat in on a table read with the voice actors. I met the voice of Bart and Lisa and Homer.
No.
Yeah, some of the directors there and writers, and it was a dream come true.
And I was looking on your website. There's a graphic there that shows your impressive list of clients. How did an Aussie company in Brunswick, Melbourne, become such a big player on the world stage?
Well, it's interesting. I think because most of the people we work with are like clients and stuff are from the US or the UK, but often we'll jump on a call, and I think the people on the other end are surprised to see 2 Australians talking back at them, and they're confused by the silly accents. So most of our work comes from LA. So I'm not sure how that exactly happened, but it's where a lot of stuff's happening. So. Yeah, we just reach out to people, or they reach out to us, and we say yes to the things that look really cool, and try to do really good work, and they keep coming back. So,
will you be leaving for LA soon, or will you stay right here in Melbourne?
I think it's a bit of a scary place to go right now. It's turned into elliptic, not to get heavy, but we like it. We like it here in Melbourne.
We're good here.
Yeah, lots of good coffee. Sean, finally, what has the reaction been to your work being featured on Saturday Night Live? The studio show off, there it is. It popped up on the final end credit with above Timothée Chalamet's name. What happened when that went to air?
Well, yeah, we've a lot of people have obviously contacted us and congratulated us. The crew we worked with were absolutely stoked to see it go live because, as Ivan said, we made this knowing it may not actually go up.
Crazy.
Yeah, we're pitching on a couple more jobs now that have leapfrogged from that, and we're hoping to make a lot more comedy and do a lot more writing ourselves this year.
Yeah, it certainly greases the wheel when we can add that to our roster of clients.
Absolutely. Well, Sean and Ivan, I'm wishing you more success, and I loved it. It was a standout. I didn't realise at the time it was an Australian company that did this. It just played in Saturday Night Live like any other skit, and that is a real testament to the work you did. Thank you for joining us on McKnight Tonight.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Those guys are just amazing, and seriously, it is worth going and watching that video. You can find it on Instagram and YouTube, or just watch the episode of Saturday Night Live, which is available on Foxtel and Binge. I genuinely do wish them every success. Okay, moving on. And New South Wales is considering dropping the speed limit to just 30 kilometres an hour in city centres and 40 k's in other areas. It's just one of 34 recommendations included in a parliamentary report into improving cycling throughout the state. The proposal comes just a few weeks after Adelaide considered a city-wide speed limit of 30 k's.
I think that this is just the beginning of the conversation, but over the decades, generally speed limits have reduced.
And it has city users divided.
I definitely don't agree with it. If you're clogged, you're not travelling at 30, you're travelling at 0.
There's a lot of people jaywalking.
The Lord Mayor says the city would be much safer if there were a reduction to its speed limits, and there's evidence to support it. If a pedestrian were to be struck by a vehicle going at 30 kilometres per hour, they have an 80% less chance of death than if it were travelling at 50.
And no one would get killed on the roads if cars didn't travel at all. This is ridiculous. I hate it. I mean, you take your foot off the accelerator and you're lucky to be able to stay under 30. I mean, we are literally going backwards. The horse and cart could go faster. And I hate the argument. It does my head in when people say, oh, you don't go as fast as that in the city anyway. That's a crock. Yeah, of course, there's peak hour and there's times where that happens, but there are other times where you can do more than 30 in the city safely, I might add, obeying the law. I thought 50 was a stretch. And then we've got 40 in school zones. And you literally see it, you're like, and 40. There's an overhead walkway for a school and we're still all doing 40. No kids on the road. Why are we still doing 40? This is ridiculous. We have to accept that sometimes bad things happen. People die, and I'm not trivializing that. But it is just ridiculous to think, oh, we'll go to 30, then we'll go to 20, then we'll go to 10. Like, seriously, just don't have cars in the city. Although Clover Moore would like that in Sydney, and there's some in Melbourne that would like that as well. Although, I will say, I was down in Melbourne for a shoot last year, and I loved using the e-scooters and the bikes to get around. They've got bike lanes. It was really, really good. But they've got that infrastructure. So why shouldn't cars be able to do 50 and 60 on their part of the road? Cyclists, good luck to them. I'm not canning cyclists. I'm not having a go at them. But, the roads are predominantly for cars to get to and forth. Have bike lanes, do all that kind of stuff, but stop being so ridiculous with speed limits. It just does my head in. What do you think? Let me know. Send me a social because I need support on this one. All right, let's take a look at the feedback coming through to McKnight Tonight. What have we got there, Amanda? We got any feedback coming through? There it is. They should be able to enjoy everything normal people do, so that's one of the things. Philip, yes, I agree with that. And I'm very big on that. Disabled people should be able to basically get sex workers because they deserve to enjoy those things in life as well. Over the page we go, and we've got Justine saying it will create more traffic. This is about lowering the speed limit to 30 kilometres an hour. And it will create more traffic congestion. If we worked on people being sensible near the roads, that would be a good start. Thank you, Justine. I agree with that completely. We've got Leo saying, talking of sex workers, the New Zealand drama Madam on Channel 9 is fantastic. So funny. Love Rachel Griffiths. Yes, okay. Thank you, Leo. She's doing a lot of acting in down here in Australia and New Zealand. Jason says, random live shot of the day is a Rob McKnight trademark. That is certainly true. Okay, thank you, Jason, and thank you, everyone who has sent in their feedback. Appreciate it. All right. Look, Channel 10 will air the finale of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here on Sunday night, and we love Reggie, so we're hoping she wins, but TV Tonight is reporting that the show, which is usually presented live, has been pre-recorded to save costs rather than having the cast and crew remain in South Africa for a few more days. Now, the outlet has confirmed that while the finale will be pre-recorded with multiple endings, voting will stay live into Sunday's finale. One of 3 alternate endings will then reflect audience voting. This is a kick in the pants for viewers, I think, because there is a big difference if Reggie wins as opposed to someone else. Can you imagine her reaction if she won it, if it was live? Now she's going to be doing it knowing, probably isn't me, unless they pretend with her that she is the winner when she does it. But I hate this. I think it's a real, it's disingenuous to the people that watch these shows. They do it with MasterChef, and it just never feels real, does it? For the sake of saving a bit of cash, and look, it's Channel 10, so they need to save every dime that they can. I just think it isn't in the spirit of the show, and it isn't good for the audience because you can't get that real and that honest reaction. Because let me tell you, if Reggie does win, and seriously, go and vote for Reggie. I am completely biased, and I make no apologies for that. She would lose her crap. She would be, I can't believe it. Oh, bloody hell. You know, she'd be amazing. And Reggie and I know each other. I'm allowed to take the piss out of her and her accent and everything like that. I just think this is bad form on Channel 10's part. Do it right or don't do it at all. 3 endings, 3 people going, yeah, I won. And especially when it's a live vote. With MasterChef, they essentially know who won. I reckon the people know because they've had the score, you know, like they can tell where it's going. But with this, it really will come down to the wire depending on how the voting's going. Channel 10, you've effed it again. Well, there have been sensational developments in the case of convicted serial killer Lucy Letby. The former nurse is serving 15 whole life sentences for murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder 7 others between 2015 and 2016. But recently, a panel of medical experts disputed the evidence used to convict Letby in a press conference in London.
In summary, ladies and gentlemen, we did not find any murders. In all cases, death or injury were due to natural causes or just bad medical care.
Okay, for more on this, let's bring in my co-host from the Monsters Who Murder podcast, serial killer whisperer, Amanda Howard. Amanda, you have closely followed this case over the years. What do you make of these latest developments?
There's 2 sides to this. I'm not surprised, but at the same time, it's shocking that it gets to this point before something is said or something is done.
Why aren't you surprised?
It's very interesting because when we look at newborn cases, and we've seen a lot of them, including Kath Folbig and several in the UK, it's very hard to determine the death in a newborn purely because they can go from well to very, very sick to dead very, very quickly. And so to actually be able to pinpoint that the causation of that can be quite difficult. And then when you bring into these a case like this where you actually talk about that it could be someone actually doing harm to these babies, it's very hard to prove. And the fact that they got her for 7 and a 7 attempted, it's just shocking to see that this can actually get to this point.
So everyone seems sure about her guilt. You think there is doubt?
I think it's very hard to prove that someone has killed a newborn baby, because especially when you're looking at patients that are in the NICU, they can swiftly change so quickly. And when we hear about other issues at these hospitals, that they were short-staffed, that the hospital actually got downgraded in its ability to care for newborns very soon, as this case was happening, not because of this case, but because they were realising that they really didn't have the skill mix to be able to look after such critical patients.
You mentioned Catherine Folbig, and just like her, Lucy Letby has always denied her guilt, but it took Catherine Letby here in Australia a long time to get retrials, and ultimately it was only many, many years, what was it, like 20 years afterwards, that she finally was freed?
Yeah, I think it was 18 years that Kathleen was finally freed. And again, it came down to the medical opinion that was used in the trial. They actually used Dr. Shu Lee in the Letby case to say that she had done this, but then he said, no, that's not what my papers said. They had interpreted it incorrectly. And so what happened there and here is that the evidence that is produced is often sort of misconstrued and used in a way that isn't how it actually is meant to be explained. So I think that had we had Dr. Shu Lee many, many years ago, especially looking at Kathleen's case, I think we might have had a different outcome then as well, rather than her having to wait in prison for 18 years.
Very interesting. Let's have a listen to what her lawyer had to say about this new evidence in an interview with Sky News.
Well, Lucy Letby was convicted on what would now seem to be unreliable medical evidence. That's what convicted her. It was the expert evidence that convicted her. There were other circumstantial parts of the case that were not heavily relied upon, and certainly she would never have been convicted of that alone. Facebook search.
Sorry, just Mark, just so we're clear, a handwritten note that says "I am evil, I did this" is regarded as circumstantial, does it? Is it?
Okay, so I was about to go through that. Let's go to the note because you want to focus on that, all right? So she was given a psychiatrist and a counsellor while she was on suspension from the trust. That psychiatrist and counsellor said, write down everything, all your thoughts and processes on notes, which is what she did. Those were the notes that were used against her. In those notes, she said exactly what you said, but she also said underneath, I did nothing wrong.
Amanda, it is interesting. We've brought this case already back to the case of Kathleen Folbig. And again, there were the contents of a letter where Lucy had the word hate. And much has been made of this letter, and much was made about Kathleen Folbig's diary.
Yeah, so in Kathleen Folbig's diary, she actually spoke about that something helped her babies go to heaven. And she says it was God helping them rather than her helping them die. We see this often, and we've had lots of confessions like this. The granny killer in Sydney in the 80s also wrote something on his saying, no more grannies, and they took that as a confession. But when you're looking at things like this, clinical staff are told to reflect on their days. They're told to go home and write, what did you learn today? What didn't you learn today? And very often they are so critical of themselves that they sometimes go home and repeat things in their head 1,000 times, saying, why didn't I do this? Why did I give that medication? Why didn't I offer it earlier? And things like this can actually occur, and they need to write this down to sort of let it go. I mean, when you're looking at deathly ill babies every single day, it can be really hard to not have those horrible intrusive thoughts and hold on to them. You need to let them go. And so this is what she's done. She has scribbled down these words. She's been told to scribble down these words, and now they're getting used against her rather than seen as a form of therapy to help her get through the next day. I'm not saying that she's the best nurse ever, and I think that's what this comes down to. But I think what we're seeing is that let's try and find anything we can to demonize a person rather than the actual clinical evidence that shows something completely different.
Okay, what about the families, though? They had closure. They had someone who's found guilty of murdering their babies. This must be very painful for them, reopening that wound.
Well, yes and no. Would you rather know that your baby died because they were ill, or would you rather know that your baby died because someone actually did horrible things to them? I don't know what I would prefer. I've never been in that position and never will be. But I think it's a different sort of change that they were going to have to deal with the deaths. Now, will this go to trial? I doubt it, because what they often do with things like this, and I can go into this further, but it's likely to not be a trial, but more of a agreement that is made. God forbid that these families have to go through a full trial, to go through and go through every single thing of their baby's last hours on earth. I dread that they have to go through that, but this must be extremely painful for them, especially because they've had someone to blame, and now that blame might not be directed in the right way.
So are you saying that she would be released through an agreement?
I think if it looks like that, that this evidence that they are providing suggests that she is innocent, and because someone else now has to look at it, it needs to go to the CCRC, which will then decide if this needs to go and be prosecuted again. If they decide that yes, it is, but there's evidence to suggest that they wouldn't win a case, they're more likely to go forward and say, yes, here's $100,000, go away and don't talk about this ever again. That could happen. But we also have the other public inquiry that's going on, which is based on how the hospital dealt with a serial killer. So that whole inquiry has to be looked at as well, to saying, well, you're looking at evidence that is now suggestive of not actually being truthful. So there's a lot of other things that have to go forward before they decide that they are going to either prosecute her again or give her a pardon. It is a lengthy process, and it's not something that happens in a day, but it will go to the families as well, that they will need to discuss it as well. But the fact that, there's not even any grey areas on this new inquiry that has come out. They've basically said there's nothing that proves that they were killed.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Look, Amanda makes a podcast with me called Monsters Who Murder. We call her the serial killer whisperer because she's always talking to serial killers. Have a listen to the podcast. I am just the person who goes along for the ride and asks questions with Amanda. She is phenomenal with what she knows. Amanda, I have a feeling we might be covering this one on a future episode.
Oh, yes, I think so, because there's a lot to discuss in this case, not just what the experts have said.
Okay, you just search for Monsters Who Murder, the podcast, on all your usual apps. Amanda Howard, the host and expert on Monsters Who Murder and criminologist and serial killer whisperer. Thanks for joining me on this astonishing twist.
Yep, thanks, Robert.
All right, before we wrap this sucker up, let's get a bit of feedback coming into McKnight Tonight. Clint says, in regards to reducing speed limits in CBDs, pedestrians have to take some responsibility and get off their phones when crossing roads and walking on footpaths. Remember when they were also trying to ban four-wheel drives out of CBDs a few years ago? Good times. Yeah, Clint, I couldn't agree more with you. Pedestrians have to take responsibility. Thank you for that. Over the page we go. And Jason says, go Reggie. I added the O's there. Thank you, Jason. And Leo says, why don't they just do it live? Pre-recording different endings is crap. It's like Dancing with the Stars is all pre-recorded now. Live is best. The difference, I'll pick you up there, Leo, is Dancing with the Stars at least isn't trying to be live, pretending it's live. And the winner is determined by the studio audience vote and the judges. Whereas this show, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, is determined by a viewer vote. And that's the thing that's my big issue with it. And finally, we'll end with Jimmy saying, why do almost every reality show do this pre-recorded reality show these days? It's annoying. A kick in the guts for I'm a Celebrity too. Yep, couldn't agree more, Jimmy. Thank you very much for your feedback. And those who are sending us feedback on TikTok, we're still trying to work out how to integrate that into the system, but I will be having a look at all your comments at the end of the show, and hopefully in next week or the coming weeks, we can actually bring your feedback live. Thank you for watching on TikTok, though. And we've had a great response on TikTok, so I really want to acknowledge you guys. And before we go tonight, we have time for what I call some back-end quickies. There were some standout moments from the recent Grammys, but this meme made me laugh. When you thought you were going to get attention for wearing a house on your head, but then a girl shows up naked. Ah, yes, poor Jaden Smith. Bit of a weird cat, isn't he? He wants to be this cool guy, but there's just something a bit off about him. Meanwhile, this parody of an Alanis Morissette song, this really speaks to me as a parent.
I want you to know that that's not where dishes go. You have to wash them off and then put them in there. Yeah, do you actually think that when they're left in the sink that they will magically go in the washer? And I can still see your cup, it's over there, pick it up. I'm sure you'd make a really excellent mother. Plus the food that you ate used to be on your plate, didn't make it into your mouth when you opened wide. No, it's on the table, on the floor, and I'm not gonna clean it anymore. So much rice, yeah, there's so much rice, and I'm here to remind you of the mess you left when you went away, and now you're upstairs playing Xbox. I will find you, would you come down again? I didn't know.
I don't know. It appeals to me. I hope it appeals to you. Thank you for joining us for McKnight Tonight. We'll be back next Saturday at 9 p.m. in Sydney and Melbourne and those kind of states that are on a daylight saving time. In Brisbane, Queensland, we'll be on at 8 o'clock. In South Australia, 8:30, and WA, 6 p.m. I hope you can join us. It's a good way to spend Saturday nights, and we can have a nice chat and do it all again next week. We're here for 10 weeks. It's a bit of an experiment. I'll see you next week. It's good night from McKnight.
McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. It's good night from McKnight Tonight.